Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Political Pulse. Tonight, we are joined by three of the five members of our team to bring you some very important information. Now, we have to press on. We are in the home stretch. We are in the final 2 weeks before Election Day 2024, and there are so many things that have emerged as being valuable and present and relevant to all of us in this country. And one of the most important things, and one of the first things to talk about, is the importance and the value of early voting. Earlier this week, we had a viral video of Louisiana politician Gary Chambers, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Now, the video, I tried to download it, it wouldn't play. You got to see it. I'm going to repost it. I know that Kenny, too, Raw to Real on his socials will repost it. But it was brought to us by the one and the only, the beautiful lady of the night and lady of the show, Double D Mother. Double D. Tell
You
us
know,
about this video and what's happening with early voting.
you know what? I love Gary Chambers. Y'all know I was devastated when Gary Chambers did not win. Um, Statistically, Gary Chambers is always going to bring in those statistics, and he talked about how early voting in Louisiana and how it feels like the Biden Harris campaign is not putting a lot of stock in Louisiana or in these smaller states because it may feel like a lost cause. You know what I mean? Because out of the 382,000 registered voters in Louisiana, only black registered voters, only 88,000 are black. So that means 1 out of 10 voters that have voted early already were black. So he talked a lot about voting early, the importance of voting early, and how we really need to start showing ourselves as that chocolate state that we know and love, because of New Orleans and all of that. So it's very important that we talk about early voting, the importance of getting ourselves out there and voting early, going ahead and getting that out. A lot of these states present early voting. What is it like? Up until like maybe a week before the election. So please, if you can, go out and early vote. Statistically speaking, black people were not showing up early to vote, and we need to do something to change that. We really need to do something to change that. So I'm just here to encourage you guys to vote early. I wanted to hear his statistics because he had broke it down by number, the amount of black people that had turned out to vote early, and I believe it was like 88,000 out of the 982,000 registered black voters in Louisiana. And then going back to Gary Chambers' election, where he did not win, to John Kennedy, what was it? 283,000 black people voted in that election. It was absolutely horrific. I made a video during that, and I couldn't believe that. Zach, I couldn't hear you. I think you're muted.
Oh, right. So you're saying that only about 280,000 black voters out of how many total? He had about
900
980,000.
980,000 registered black voters in Louisiana. Registered black voters, 980,000. And only about 280 something thousand voted in that election. Gary Chambers got, I believe, and you guys, the numbers could be a little skewed because it's been a few years since it's happened, but I believe it was like 566,000 votes what Gary Chambers ended up getting in that election, which was
My
absolutely
God.
abhorrent against John Kennedy, who literally told you guys to drink weed killer. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, I just
Wasn't
want to
during that
talk about.
same election, wasn't slavery on the ballot?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I want to take a moment, Double D, and I want you to tell us about some of the things happening politically in Louisiana since that election, because a lot of things have actually changed for the worse in regards to black people and regards to life for a lot of people in Louisiana. Since who is the governor elect? Who
Governor
won?
Landry, we have Governor
Right.
Landry who put the 10 Commandments in schools, and that was a really big thing. They talked about that nationally. The summer program, the EBT program. At first, he rejected it. Then he came back and went ahead and accepted it, but put all of these conditions so people could not be eligible for it. But this was after he wrote a letter to, after he rejected this money, he wrote a letter to President Biden talking about crawfish. It was very important for him to talk to the president about, because there was this thing with the crawfish. So he wrote this letter to President Biden saying that we needed to invest in farmers regarding not farmers, but crawfish, whatever they're called, crawfish people. However, he had rejected the summer EBT program that was federally funded. The only thing that Louisiana had to do was to fund the administrative cost. Okay, it was already taken care of in the American Rescue Plan. However, we just had to cover the administration costs, and he didn't want to do it. So he rejected it. He didn't want to do it, said no. Then he came back and wrote a letter about crawfish. People got in his ass about it. And then he turned around and went ahead and accepted it. But he put all of these stipulations in place to where it was really hard to even receive it. According to reporting, if you had like a couple of dollars, let's say the last time the summer program was in, and you had a couple of dollars still left on your card, that would make you ineligible. That was something that was reported regarding that summer EBT program. It was absolutely abhorrent. Of course, we know about the 10 Commandments. We talked about that. Louisiana is one of the lowest ranking school systems there is. And what we're worried about is the 10 Commandments being in classrooms, which is going to be implemented in 2025. It's absolutely despicable. Of course, we know the Attorney General signed on to that mess with Donald Trump pushing the big lie, those lawsuits and all of that stuff. Governor Landry has been absolutely abhorrent to Louisianians, basically reversing everything that Governor John Bel Edwards did, pushing this Louisiana forward. We left in a surplus. I don't think we're going to have a surplus anymore. When John Bel Edwards left, we had a surplus. I don't think we're going to have that anymore now that we have Governor Landry. He's been abhorrent to the state of Louisiana. So showing up to early vote, you need to be doing that expeditiously. You need to be doing that expeditiously.
And that really goes across the country, right? So it really doesn't matter what
Right.
state you're in. We need you to vote early in every state, period. Specifically, also, again, in our 7 swing states. I live in the swing state of Georgia. And currently, black voter turnout is slightly above where it was in 2020 at this time for early voting, which is a really good thing. But it's still not where it needs to be to really ensure and to be able to say with confidence that Vice President Kamala Harris has a strong chance of winning the state. Whoever wins the state of Georgia is going to win that state within 10,000 votes. Whoever wins the state of Georgia is going to win that state within 10,000 votes. And so if that sounds like a lot of votes to you, consider the fact that there are almost 8 million people in this state registered to vote and eligible to vote, but the determination number is like 10,000. And so literally that's going to be 2 people per precinct in the state, 2 people per precinct or 1 person per precinct coming together to make that number. That's how close and how pivotal it is. So every single vote really does matter. And the candidates know that. Today, Donald Trump was campaigning in Georgia. Tomorrow, Vice President Harris will be here with President Barack Hussein Obama. And then Michelle Obama will be here on Monday. They're fighting tooth and nail for every single vote that they can get. I want to say that, where the people are, where they're spending their time, it's not necessarily a good sign. The fact that Vice President Harris has 3 stops here in a week indicates that there is internal polling likely that says that maybe she is down or not as up as she would want to be. The fact that Donald Trump, who is canceling events and canceling media tours, says that his polling may say something very similar. So they're both duking it out. Donald Trump has one path to the presidency, and it includes 3 must-win states. He must win Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. And if we can find a way to stop this man in the state of Georgia, he will not be the next president of these United States of America. So it's just essential that people get out and vote early. And when you're in a state and you're thinking, well, why should I vote early? I enjoy the excitement of voting on election day. You're coming out to vote early because Republicans, if you're in a Republican-led state, they like to play games. That's where they send to predominantly black polling locations broken machines. That's where they send to predominantly black polling locations a lack of staff and a lack of workers, so that you have lines that lasts all day, and people who would vote, not you because you're excited to vote, but people that's coming out saying, you know what, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to give it a chance, they get disenfranchised is what it's called, and they just go home. They say, my vote doesn't count, so I'm not going to even sit here and wait in line for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even 2 hours. Because in Georgia, I have seen people stand in line for up to 2 hours just to cast their ballot to vote. And there are people out here who are watching this who live in a blue state. Like Kenny lives in a blue state. And regardless of who wins this election, the protections of a blue state governor and blue state leadership will still be in place to give them a small buffer against the atrocities that will come from a Donald Trump administration. Tiffany and I live in red states. And so that gave us a different kind of buffer. In Georgia and Louisiana, we were blocked from getting some of the benefits of the Biden-Harris administration. When I look at people who say things like, well, they didn't do enough for me, you didn't see it. You didn't feel it because your governor held it back. In the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp just announced he's going to give out some kind of like tax rebate bonuses with the money, with the money that was sent to this state by President Biden and Vice President Harris, that he held on to, that he put into a surplus fund, that he just waited to use so he could use it to make it seem advantageous to him. That's the type of games that Republicans are playing in this country. And that money could have made a significant difference to a number of Georgians who are struggling to make ends meet. That money could have been the end meet maker. We didn't get EBT cards that even had summer allocations for students because Brian Kemp blocked all of that. And the only combat against it, the only protection that we have, even in a small force, would be the election of Vice President Kamala Harris against a tyranny of Republican rule.
But the only thing is, even though we are, and even though I do live in a blue state, if Donald Trump is reelected and he's able to implement a federal national abortion ban, I wouldn't be safe, or people in blue states wouldn't be safe either. So I want people to understand that just because you live in a blue state doesn't necessarily mean you're safe. And yes, I am in a blue state and I will be early voting. Early voting does start in Maryland tomorrow. So I'm taking me and Danny to the polls tomorrow, and tonight we are working on the sample ballot, which I want a lot of people to get into. You can request for a sample ballot, but luckily in Maryland they automatically send it to your house if you're already a registered voter. That's how blue this place is. So you can look up the candidates. It gives you time to look up the candidates. You're able to take this with you into the polling, just in case, you know, some people are outside and you don't know exactly who's on the ballot. It gives you a little bit of time to realize who you're actually voting for, because there's more than just you're voting for senators, you're voting for congressmen, you're voting for the president. There's other things that you have to vote for, especially when it comes to the Board of Education. The Board of Education, because right now I was doing a little research, and this girl named Brenda Diaz is an anti-vaxxer, and she wants to go on the Board of Education to force people to go to homeschooling. So she's not getting my vote. Okay, we're voting for Natalie Zimmerman over here. But that's my point. Just because they have a nonpartisan name here, you have to look them up to realize if they match your certain political views. It is super important. The same thing goes for judges, because they do not have D and they do not have R next to them. Okay, so make sure that you're paying attention. Same thing for your sheriff. Same thing for your DA. All of these things are important. But to your point, I think the real issue that I think Gary Chambers has, and a lot of people in these red areas like Louisiana, they're not utilizing their large Black population because, unfortunately, the Democratic Party does not feel that it is conducive to invest in these areas because they're so red. However, what we learned from Stacey Abrams is if you put in a good ground game and if you're able to invest the right resources into the state, then you can flip it blue. And I think that's where a lot of people are having, you know, this disconnect when it comes to being able to reach out to these Black voters.
I agree. And I think Gary Chambers did a really good job in saying that we need to show ourselves. We need to show ourselves. Even though we don't have that big investment in Louisiana, we need to show ourselves in these red states. We need to come out and come out strong and say, hey, we're voting. We're here. see us, please. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they will see us and understand that we are worth that investment. It's not like it's not a lot going on down here, but that there's nothing going on down here, but it's not a whole lot going down around here. I know you guys know when Gary Chambers ran and what was going on internally within the Democrat Party. It was really hard. They really fought against him and his candidacy for the Senate. And we just want to see that change. We really want to see that change. So I just wanted to implore, you ones to get out, vote early so that we can show ourselves here in Louisiana and these red states everywhere. Everybody can vote early, okay? And I wanted to bring up Pennsylvania really quick. What happened with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court really quick today, that they ruled, the Republicans were fighting against the ballots. They wanted to toss out all the ballots that weren't early voting ballots that weren't in secrecy envelopes, that were sent in and not in secrecy envelopes. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. Anybody that did that, they're going to be allowed to cast a provisional ballot. That
And
just
most
happened
of
today
those
in
would have
Pennsylvania.
definitely been Democratic ballots.
Yeah,
Because
they
they
would
have
have
a
been
massive
Democratic
number of Democrats leading the early voting, absentee voting numbers. Like they have a firewall almost of like almost 400,000 more Democrats have cast absentee ballots than Republicans in Pennsylvania.
And I
And
was
they
just
know
about to
that.
say that. And they know that. That's exactly why. If they cast that ballot and it wasn't in that secrecy envelope, they were tossing those ballots. Of course, a lawsuit was filed, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled today that they will be able to cast a provisional ballot. So they're going to have to go back, inform those people that their ballots were tossed, and they're going to be able to cast a provisional ballot. So that is good
How many
news.
ballots are we losing?
I don't know. I don't know that exact number. I don't know that
That's
exact
why
number.
it's so important if
But
Because
you're
that
people
is
voting
aren't going
after.
to do that. I hate to say it, but a lot of people are not about to do it twice. That's just not
Well,
sadly
no,
how
no, well, here's
people
my
vote
thing.
and work.
Here's the thing. If you're a voter and if you vote absentee, everybody knows that you can track your ballot. I voted absentee. It is so easy, especially for people who
Kenny,
are out
in your
of town.
state, it's not the same in every state. Like
No,
we
I'm talking
talked
about I
about
voted.
that.
No, I voted like this in North Carolina. That ain't, that's
Every
perfect.
state does it different. It's not the same in every state. Some states do allow you to track, but other states do not. They don't.
Let's find
they
out.
don't allow
It
us
used
to
to.
track it around here
So
in
Now,
Louisiana.
verify
do they
that you can
allow
do that and
tracking in
do
Pennsylvania?
verify you can do that in Pennsylvania. But I know for a fact that there's no such thing in Mississippi or in Alabama. You can't. It's almost impossible to even be able to vote absentee. You have to prove that you're on the verge of death's door.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely no online checking.
It was more than 1.3 million, 1.1 million ballots were already returned in Pennsylvania with 2 weeks until the election day. 1.1 million ballots. Yes, Justice Christine Donahue wrote the major opinion herself, and 3 other Democrats on the court. Another Democrat dissented alongside the court's 2 Republicans. Absentee, any other disqualifying irregularities, the provisional ballots were to be counted if there were no other ballots to the electors. There were none. So,
All right, so I just looked it up. In Pennsylvania, voters can track their mail-in ballots via absentee through Pennsylvania's voter service website. Here's how you do it. So I'm just going to tell y'all real quick. Visit PA Voters website services. Go to the official site for ballot tracking. Enter your information. So you have to enter your full name, your date of birth, and then your county. And then there's an option for check status. Once you submit the information, you will be able to see a timeline of your ballot services, including when the ballot application was received, when it was processed, when the ballot was mailed, and when it was received by the county. So if you are in Pennsylvania, you do have the ability to track your ballot. So I would definitely recommend you follow the steps I just spoke of.
love it. Great information, Kenny. Great information. Because I wasn't sure if you could or not. But that's big news from the Supreme Court and a win for voters today that they will be able, those 1.1 million ballots that were tossed, they will be able to cast a provisional ballot. So I'm encouraging you, if you cast an early ballot, go and track your ballot with the directions that Kenny just gave. It's very important. In fact, what I'm going to do is, Kenny, I'm going to post that onto my Facebook and Instagram and stuff, so people can see that they can track. Because some people don't know. Because I didn't know that you could track in Pennsylvania. So
Yeah, I mean, Google is our friend. You know, I talk about it all the time. So we are solution-based people on Political Pulse. So we will be
Absolutely.
fact checking and looking things up immediately. So
Immediately. So we found a solution
immediately.
to the problem. So if you voted early and you worried about your ballots because you may have forgotten to put it in that secrecy ballot, a secrecy envelope, make sure you check it, track it, and I'm going to put that
Losing
information up for you
1.1
guys.
million ballots, like in terms of
1.1.
disqualifying 1.1 people who've actually already voted, is
Mhm.
absolutely disappointing. Like that is the election. That's a they didn't. Pennsylvania hasn't been won by those numbers in several election cycles, so it's really really disappointing how that happened, how it came to be, and that's why we desperately need the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. That's why we need it, because it
Mhm.
would streamline how voting happens across this country in every single state, so that people who are in states like Mississippi and Alabama that don't even allow you to vote early will have the opportunity to vote early. And you probably will see some changed outcomes because they have the numbers to have very, very different results. So, I mean, that's really just that just is heartbreaking to me. Like, it's heartbreaking. Do people
Mhm.
in Pennsylvania, and we may not know, but that's something to look up. Do you have to request an absentee ballot, or can you go pick one up? Because in some states you have to go through a request process. So that means not only are they going to be having to track a ballot, they have to then request a brand new ballot and then count on the mail service to get it there. And I know in Georgia, I don't get mail. If something is sent to me today, I'm not going to get it in time for the election. Only
You
60% of mail in Georgia is delivered on time. And that too is by design of the Postmaster General DeWine. So
Yeah, it's going to be very hard because in order to complete your mail-in ballot, particularly in Pennsylvania, it must be received by the county by 8 p.m. on election day.
Mhm.
So in order for it to be counted, but I'm going to make it my mission tonight. I'm going to be putting out a lot of content just around this issue so that way people can understand what we have to do and what they can do if they've already submitted an absentee ballot. And that way they can get their voice heard and their vote can be actually counted. So I'm gonna make it my mission tonight. I'm gonna use my platform to do what I can to get the message out.
Absolutely.
and we
Absolutely.
have to, yeah, we have to get the message out, but we also have to encourage people to get out and just vote, right? They have to do that. So yeah, that's good. They have that, Myra, as a list of rejected ballots online. So we need to share that. Can you drop that link in the chat? Because that makes it a whole lot easier and a whole lot faster. So we can just send it out there, share it, and really emphasize that. We want to definitely send out a congratulations to our good friend Everett, who is now an official voting ambassador. I know I was encouraging voting ambassador. I think, Kenny, you encouraged some voting ambassadors and made some posts about it. Tiffany, did you do that? Were you part of that Move On campaign to really get some people out there to
No,
be
I
voting
didn't.
ambassadors?
I didn't
You
do
could,
that on campaign.
you do like a Zoom link, and then you get up to $400 by encouraging people to vote. So it's a really good way to get like a little some money in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Double
Some
D.
of that
Yeah,
stuff they be
Eric, you
sending
get
me,
Double D to sign up so you can go ahead and get
some of,
that money quick.
some of that stuff they be sending me, child, I be thinking it be spam. I be looking over that mess. I be like, it's a couple of times I don't miss some money because I be
Some
thinking
good
them emails
opportunities.
be spam. I'm telling you, I done missed some money in them emails. I had to get somebody to help me out. I said, "Don't shoot, I just be skipping over crap. Look, somebody offered me some Ozempic. I missed that. I was like, dang, I could have got that. I need to lose some weight.
So yeah, Everett, drop the link, and then we
I
will
do have
highlight
it.
your link. Yeah, and so
I,
that
I
way you
have it
can
here. Hold
also,
on. I'm gonna see if
yeah.
I can put
So
it in the chat on YouTube.
what? Yeah,
What?
put the one for Philadelphia
Yeah, for
for
Pennsylvania.
voters. Yeah, drop that, and then Everett, you drop your link for voting ambassador in the chat as well. So because if you are a Georgia resident, his link will work for you. This is an extremely close election. That's why I said 1.1 million voters will make a difference. These
Mhm.
are a summation of the most common polls that have come out as of 10/8 to 10/22. And you saw like a nice continuous lead, but that lead has dropped to, in a number of different places. It's all across the board. And both parties are doing a whole lot trying to push the final 2 weeks and get some things done. One thing that's been done has been a focus on buses from the Democratic Party. And Kenny has had the opportunity to be on one such bus, and he's going to talk to us about that experience and what he's learned and kind of some things that the Harris Walz administration is doing to really push and target voters.
So I partnered up with the CBC Pact, and I traveled throughout Georgia, especially in Macon and what was it? I went to Savannah. Also, I went to Atlanta, and I was traveling with the Congressional Black Caucus. So actually elected leaders, all black, and they were meeting with voters, they were meeting with canvassers, and they were basically talking to them and stressing the importance of this election. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the CBC chair, Stephen Hosford. I got a chance to interview Representative Stacey Pulaski. I was able to talk to Sheila McCormick. I was able to talk to so many people. Also, Sanford Bishop, and they were pretty much doing souls to the polls. We wound up going to this place called I think it's a wonderful church, child. They got an amazing choir. I think it's called Buellerland. That's also in I think that was actually in Macon. Great church. And he was basically telling people, okay, something, because obviously he had to be nonpartisan. He had to use an analogy which actually had the entire congregation stand up on their feet. He was talking about when he was a child and he was learning how to drive for the first time. This is Sanford Bishop now, Congressman Sanford Bishop. He was talking about how when his father was telling him, if you want to be able to go backwards, you have to put the car in R. But if you want to move forward, you need to put the car in D. So ask yourselves, congregation, do you want to go forward or do you want to go backwards? And everybody stood up on their feet and applauded this man, because that was the perfect analogy on where we want to be as a country. We want to continue to move forward, and the only way to move forward is with the Harris-Walz ticket. Along with that, we got a chance to actually talk to black men. We were able to talk about, Kamala Harris's black male agenda and how that would actually benefit them, whether it be the 1 million forgivable loans up to $20,000 for black entrepreneurs, whether it came to apprenticeship programs and, learning when it comes to that, highlighting black male health and highlighting the importance of black male educators. So we talked to real people on the ground and met with the people where they are, told them about the policies, and they got to hear it from Congress people themselves. And also they met with black businesses, and they had to stress the importance and give civic education on how this looked. Because some people were asking, okay, so how would this policy work? They had to explain that in order for this to work, this is just an idea. And I'm going to explain exactly here. This is just an idea. The presidential nominee sets the agenda, and then it is up to Congress to make it actually happen with real policy. Now, this policy can change because we might have to negotiate something. We could negotiate up. We could add new provisions. Right now, things are just an idea. This is just ideals until it is actually implemented in legislation. So all of these policies have the ability to grow with your input. But in order for this to happen, you have to vote blue all the way down the ticket. We have to make sure that we're giving Kamala Harris a Congress that's going to be able to implement this without having to water it down in order to, appeal to Republicans. So if you want this to stay strong and you want this to stay blue and you love all the meat and potatoes in this, you're going to have to vote blue down the ticket in order for it not to get watered down. Did I
And
did I
yeah,
did I explain myself good?
Yeah,
yeah,
you did.
you did a great job. But and
Yeah,
also
Okay, trying
we've
to
got
make
to be
sure I don't want
prepared.
nobody to lose me here.
I loved it.
Yeah, and we've got to be prepared for what's going to come after Vice President Kamala Harris wins, which is going to be a continued uphill battle around helping people understand that the tangibles that she is campaigning on are coming. These promises will come to pass, provided they can make that they get passed by Congress. But again, we're looking at a Republican-controlled Senate who's going to block everything. That doesn't have to happen. Florida can stop it. Montana can stop it. Ohio can stop it. Texas can stop it, and I pray they will. I pray they will. But in the event that they don't, we've got to be patient and continuously push the agenda forward so that we can get those in the final 2 years of her presidency.
Oh, so they are going to be continuously this bus tour. They're going to be hitting up. The next stop is going to be in North Carolina. I think that you're gonna, if you guys know of famous TikToker Rashonda, she's gonna be on the grounds and she's gonna be talking to the people where they are. So I would definitely recommend you follow her socials because she's going to be educating and she's going to have people laughing and she's going to give it to them the best way that she possibly can. And I want people to go make sure that they watch that tour because I'm going to definitely be watching. Um,
And you
Elizabeth,
may have some familiar faces on the tour, so
well, I
you never
hope
know.
we have some familiar faces on the tour. There's some inside stuff, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but we'll see.
I have a pretty full schedule, but I'm trying my best to make it work. I was invited to attend, but it's not just the CBC bus, right? That's one bus. There is also a bus of former Republican leaders who are also going around swing states campaigning for Vice President Harris. There's not only the CBC bus and a former Republican bus, but there is a reproductive freedom and justice bus full of women and advocates also going around in the different states. So you have multiple buses going around swing states fighting for every single voter, canvassing, phone calls, doing everything. It's a very powerful, beautiful campaign.
Mhm.
I've never seen anything run so well. I've never seen anything like it. So much involvement from so many different people and groups coming together to fight for democracy. Is it going to work? That's the question. Is it going to, in the end, win?
All I know is that I'm going to ask myself at the end of all of this, win or lose, did I do everything within my power to try to save democracy? And not only did I travel the bus tour, but I will be canvassing. If you guys are in the Maryland Tacoma Park area, I will be knocking on doors from 9 to noon on the 26th. So I encourage you to join us right now. Maryland is very low when it comes to real volunteers because all of the resources are being moved to a lot of the swing states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, as we talked about. So they're trying to redirect a lot of their resources in these swing states to, hold the blue wall. But just because we're in a blue state doesn't mean that we need to take this election for granted because there's other things, like I said, on that ballot that we have to vote for. Women's reproductive rights is actually on the ballot. And tonight I will be researching this particular provision in this amendment to make sure they're not trying it. Okay. So make sure that you guys are getting people out to vote.
And to vote early. So I promised Double D that we would not tarry too long. We are later. We start the show every Wednesday, right here on these channels at 9 o'clock. And this week we were delayed. It's 100% my fault because I had a panel discussion here in Atlanta around misinformation that's been targeted towards the Black community with specific focus on Black men. The workshop was to end at 9 o'clock. It ended at 9:30, but I made it here just in time. But Double D, we will not be tearing along. I think that we've done a great job of hitting the main points and the main things here. Next week, we will be back with our full panel in the home stretch in the very final episode uh, before the actual election. I know Kenny has a lot of content that he's going to drop. I know Tiffany has a lot of content she's going to drop. I'm going to be dropping content. The work for us will be a 2-week sprint towards the end where we're going to give it all we've got. Uh, I mean, all we've got. And, at the end of the day, I want to say that you have one responsibility for every single person out there, all of us. We only have one responsibility, and that one responsibility is to vote. And if you've done that, then you've done enough. If you've done that, you have done all that your country has asked you to do. And everything above and beyond that is an absolute gift that you are giving to democracy. It's an absolute gift that you're giving to the future. And we need the work, we need the help, we need the support. I agree. Just like Kenny said, I'm going to wake up on November the 6th knowing I did all that I could do, that I told everyone I could tell, every concern I had, every issue that was I found, and that there was no more to do. So with that said, I'll go Tiffany, Kenny, closing words for tonight's mini show.
Make sure you vote early. We can't stress that enough. The reason why we want you to vote early is so that way your ballot is cast. You know it has been done, but also it's going to alleviate a lot of the stress and the long wait times for people who can only vote on election day. So make sure you do your due diligence. If you have the ability to offer your time and your effort, please phone bank, text bank, offer knocking on doors, canvas, do what you possibly can because I don't want you to wake up, like we said earlier, on November 7th and be like, well, I should have done more. Give your all now. Okay. You can sleep when you're dead.
Absolutely. Vote early. Take care of yourselves. Drink your water. Smile and be happy, and vote blue down ballot. Okay, do what you got to do, man. Try to vote early if you can. If you can't, we understand, but vote blue down ballot when you do vote, and take care of yourselves. Drink your water and watch the real T with double D. Okay, bye.
Definitely drink your water and always watch the real T with WD. So WD, some of your followers, first off, people were very
Love her
happy that
phone.
you are with us today on this platform and that you are streaming onto your Facebook page. That they love it. They're like, what's happening? What's so they didn't stay happy. They got it. And then, but this isn't replacing your regular show, which comes out tomorrow, correct?
Tomorrow, I'm going to bring the real T with double D back tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. I haven't done it since December of 2023. I let it go for a while, and it's time to go ahead and bring it back. It really is, because
And so so tomorrow you're gonna drop the first episode of the Real T with Double D.
yeah, after being in hiatus since 2023, I quit doing. I had all the things, so
All
now
the
it's time to get it back. So I'm gonna
so
be
when
doing
are
that
you
on
doing
Thursday
that?
night. I'm gonna
On
do it on
Thursday?
Thursday night. Since Wednesdays, I'm gonna be with
Yeah.
y'all for that. The episodes of this. I think we got one more left, or a couple more, or something. We're gonna
We got,
do.
I think, a couple more. So so what time? So 'cause I want to watch. I don't want to miss the show. What time?
Um, I don't know no time yet. I'll send you a text. You
Okay,
know how I am.
you let
Probably
me
about
know.
9.
But we
It
gonna
Probably
the
about
might
people gonna be
feel
there.
like
We gonna be
it.
there,
probably
and we
probably
gonna
about
watch.
9. Look, probably
It
about
sounds
9
good.
o'clock, 9:30. You know how my
Yeah.
kids is. Don't
Yeah,
don't put me to no time constraint.
when the kids go down, but we're ready to see it, ready to do it, ready to give the stars and the support. Because again, for both of you, great work. We love you, and we want to continue to see more and more and more and more content, and hopefully that we can continue to sustain ourselves as content creators to do this more often, more frequently. With that being said, everybody, thank y'all for coming, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good night,
Night, you
guys.
guys. See you later.